Hey guys, if you don't know me, I'm Birdie and welcome to my channel. This is Clown Cows. Today, I wanted to talk about Amber Reid and jealousy's perfect storm that led to the hatred of her Aunt Tammie. She's jealous. Amber is jealous of her Aunt Tammie. I thought about how Amber's mother, Christine, and how Christine's mother, that would be Amber's grandmother, are all rotten to their core. And although I do believe generational trauma played a role in this, I also think that the same trauma built one soldier and several victims. Before I go any further, I think it's important to just remind all of you this is just my opinion. Nothing that I'm saying is fact. You need to do your own research and form your own opinions. All of my opinions are based on publicly accessible information that was made public by its owners. And again, this is strictly my opinion. So, Tammie chooses to not be a victim. We've heard her mentioned a few times on Oh Lordy, It's Jordy's stream, and I think that the last one was August the 27th, that Amber chooses victimhood. Tammie was a victim at one time due to the traumas that she had survived, but she battled through those. She got held down for a while, but ultimately got professional help and became a warrior. Amber, Christine, and even the grandmother suffered traumas as well. Then they wallowed in that cesspool of pity and became lifelong victims. I know some are going to argue that Christine, again, this is Amber's mom, beat her past and the cycle of trauma that led to those addictions, but I disagree. Christine married a criminal when she married Amber's dad, and she lost or forfeited custody of all four of her children. She continued using until she went to prison for extraordinary violence toward Amber's grandmother. And although she appears to have stopped the drugs she had previously been using, from my soapbox, it looks like she just traded the illicit substances for gambling.
I have recently, I don't want to admit this, I don't even feel like anyone has watched this far in this video, so maybe not a lot of people know this. There was this app, I'm so glad I don't play it anymore, but a few months ago, I spent thousands, not exaggerating, thousands of dollars on this app, and that's considered gambling. So I've never actually been real gambling, like at a casino. Maybe I should never go. Oh my god, I'm finally here at 32. Do I press this button? Yeah. All right. At the casino.
I'm not surprised by that because it probably does bring a similar high or rush, the same or similar that Christine got from her substance addiction once upon a time. Tammie truly overcame it, though. She got help. She learned what she needed to learn, and then she took control of her life. And I know she's still a woman in process. She still has changes to make, and she still has growth to achieve. But she tried to learn, and then she shared that newfound knowledge with her sister Christine and her niece, and we're going back years. But I think neither Amber nor her mother wanted to put in the effort to make those true changes. That's a lot of hard work. I think for those two women, they believe their struggles and traumas come with treasure chest prizes. It's like they think, well, I suffered and I've attempted to make a small change here or there, so I am owed a prize for the rest of my life for trying even though I failed. I think this is why Christine allegedly feels entitled to certain things, like her mother's house when the mother passes, as Tammie had shared with us on a phone call with Jordy. And I think it's why Amber feels entitled to use my mental health is bad, so I'm by default innocent of all wrongs that I've provably committed against others. Amber and her mother seem to share that same personality trait and those same character flaws. Learning that Amber's grandmother had lied allegedly about cancer years ago also makes me think that the grandmother has issues with feeling entitled to pity or free prizes for real or imaginary traumas or hardships. On the August 27th phone call Tammie had with Jordy, she said something that I reflected on, and for me, it went so much deeper than Tammie realized. She said to Jordy, when talking about trying to be there and support her mother, her sister, and her niece, that she, quote, suited up, end quote. Tammie said by that she meant that she was present for them when they needed her. But for me, she was more than present. Maybe her psyche doesn't want to trigger that hurt, but if we look at what it means to suit up, it means to many that we're preparing for battle. I've said multiple times in previous videos that Tammie, in my opinion, has shown or displays that of a warrior spirit or a savior personality type. But Tammie saying she suited up for me meant that somewhere deep down inside of Tammie, she knew that she was readying herself for war with the demons that have a stronghold on her sister, mother, and niece. This became so obvious to me when Amber mirrored this, as Amber always does because she lacks the substance to form her own personality. Amber said recently that Tammie was, quote, dancing with the devil, end quote.
My aunt has decided to dance with the devil.
Amber mirrored this, as Amber always does because she lacks the substance to form her own personality. I agree, Amber. It was you and your mother, and in my opinion, it's always been you and your mother that Tammie was dancing with. I understand that you've both had traumas, but I also understand that your aunt did too. She suited up for both of you. She suited up to fight for both of you. But, in my opinion, you both just metaphorically laughed in her face. Imagine going to battle, but your opponent is also the captive that you're having to rescue. Imagine being a soldier in a war where your rival was also the one you so desperately wanted to save. I cannot imagine the hurt this must have caused Tammie, but I also cannot fathom the jealousy, animosity, and resentment this must have caused Christine and therefore Amber, because again, Amber just shadows other people's personalities. Okay, so think about it. Tammie showed up and made tough choices, hard decisions, sacrifices, and she single-handedly saved her sister and Amber from absolute tragedies so many times. I think both Amber and Christine saw how strong Tammie is and how resilient of a person she is. I believe Amber and her mother know for a fact that Tammie will ultimately win because Tammie is strong. This is why Christine, the grandmother, and Amber are allegedly forming some type of pseudo army to face off against Tammie. They've all banded together to talk about Tammie and shame her and try to discredit her, and I think it's ridiculous, but I understand that, at least for me, I think it was birthed in their own jealousy of Tammie. So growing up, I heard a saying from my very religious grandmother. She said the people to be feared most have no demons standing beside them because they don't need them. To me, Tammie has metaphorically faced her demons and resolved a lot of her trauma. But Christine and Amber have this little team that they formed to try and hurt Tammie. They know they're weak. That's why Amber, Christine, the grandmother, allegedly, and some other members of the family are banding together for this face-off with Tammie.
Which my mom, my grandma, your daughter said never happens.
This is how, in my opinion, their jealousy is showing in neon lights. I believe they're jealous that Tammie is strong. She's a warrior. I think they're jealous that she was brave enough to get professional help. I think they're jealous that she got knocked down but had the fortitude to get back up. I think they're jealous that Tammie fucked up and had the grace to admit it, that she made mistakes, but not victimhood. Think about that. Tammie made mistakes. Amber and some of the other members of her family made victimhood. Tammie used truth and learning as her shield. Amber uses her victim narrative as hers. Tammie uses her past as a tool to look at, reflect on, and grow from. Amber uses her past as a pattern to clone. Tammie stands up to fight her own battles. Amber stays seated and claims that essentially her battles don't count because she has trauma, so the finish line doesn't exist for her. If I was Amber or her mom, I'd be jealous too. It's no surprise to me why Amber and Christine wanted to be together if Tammie was to get to see Amber after she moved to Oklahoma City. I think Amber knew that Tammie was a force to be reckoned with, and Amber would have known that her aunt wasn't going to dance around Amber's excuses and her bullshit like Christine would. I think as slow as Amber is, she still recognizes and sees these similarities between herself and her mom, Christine. I think they're two women who share victimhood mentalities. They share entitlement issues. They share the exchanging of one addiction for others. And they share a warped sense of right versus wrong, don't they? Side note, when I said a warped sense of right versus wrong, I was thinking about how Amber dated a woman knowing that that woman was married and Amber thought it was fine. And how Christine is married still to Amber's dad and refuses to divorce, but is engaged to marry another man of whom she lives with, and she thinks that situation is fine. Make it make sense, please. For me, it is obvious that Amber, Christine, and the grandmother are extremely jealous of Tammie, and for good reason. Tammie has built a life that revolves around things that matter, around truth, around learning, growing, evolving, and bettering herself. And it looks from where I'm standing that Amber and Christine and the grandmother have pretty much built a life around getting together to gossip and play board games, to create drama and trouble where it doesn't need to exist, to go gambling at casinos and play bingo, and then, of course, there are several times a day trips to restaurants. I believe that what Tammie has is so much more valuable because Tammie not only has character, she has truth. And I believe that those are two things that Amber and her family knows that they'll likely never have. Because it takes a lot of hard work to come from the ground, build yourself up, get the help that you need, and then forge ahead. Tammie did it, and they won't. And as far as dancing with the devil goes, Amber, I agree with you. There's been lots of dances that have been done within your family with Satan himself. I just think we don't agree on who he actually is.
The devil, 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 the devil.